All right.
Welcome everyone to the Collective Bargaining Podcast. We are live. We are live.
We are live. You know what it
What's
is.
up?
All right,
What's up,
man.
guys? How you doing?
Well, I see we got a guest on the show, man. We got a guest today, right?
Yeah, we got a guest today. So I brought in a close friend of mine from the Green Beige Podcast. They have a nice little football podcast that I was graced to be on a couple weeks ago. So I just have we just doing a little give it a little back. We give it back right now. So I'm bringing my buddy Ken to discuss some b-ball with us today.
What's
What's
happening,
up, Ken?
fellas?
Hey,
I'm
welcome
good.
to the show. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you.
Glad we could have you on, man. How's your week going, man?
Well, Monday was a holiday here. I'm in Colorado, so that was pretty good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But then since then, work is work. You'd rather not be at work sometimes, but that's how the bills get paid. So
Yeah.
Facts.
No, that's true. That's true. And you host your own podcast, of course. And one of us has graced it. How has it been? Hosting and covering football.
And when we
well,
say football, we mean the NFL, guys.
Yeah, just to
Want to
the
clarify
audience,
that.
because we do have an audience that definitely refers to football as the game of soccer here in the United States.
Yes,
So
that's
yeah,
correct.
of course. Well, I mean, it's been fun. It's been an interesting experience. AJ, you guys should know AJ since AJ hails from the same country you do.
Correct.
He and we've been doing this since January of last year. We started just about the same kind of time as soon as the playoffs were getting started, and it's been fun. We've been looking at things in the league, things ancillary to the league. We have a lot of fun every week. We talk a lot of foolishness, crack a lot of jokes. I probably crack more jokes than he does, but we definitely do enjoy ourselves every week. We
Right.
we do it on Wednesdays. It comes out live on YouTube on Wednesdays. Plus, everywhere that you find your podcast, you can find us there as well.
lovely.
Yeah.
No, it's good to have a fellow podcast head on the show. We got a lot to discuss coming up on the show. We're gonna put you through the gauntlet as well. Some of the activities we do. You're actually gonna see one of us take a shot live on the show, by the way. So every week, we tend to make a few bets on games. No money involved, but drinks
money.
are involved.
Yeah, just to make it a little exciting.
And I want to say fortunately and unfortunately, because sometimes the drinks involved are not of the best quality, as we've seen. So
You're speaking from
um,
experience.
I'll let you take it away, Michael, in terms of telling us who actually won the games.
All right. So I'm not sure if most people remember, but last time that was what's today? Thursday. So Tuesday we made a couple picks for Wednesday's game, and I must say I'm pretty proud of myself. So that's way,
And,
I
oh
mean,
man, man.
I'm pretty proud of myself. I got the picks that we got. We got a lot of games in common, and then the picks that I picked, you got nothing right, sir.
Wow.
You know
No,
what?
I'm
You
kidding.
know
I'm
what?
kidding. I'm kidding. All right.
It-
So
I-
most of the picks we had a lot of picks in common. But
Right.
the picks that we did not have in common, we only got one right.
Okay. All right.
Right.
All right.
So out of the ones that we did have in common, I had four correct. So
Wow. So 4-1, pretty much.
yeah.
Now, I just want to point out to the people that are tuning in, that will be tuning in on demand. I just want to put it out there that this is the first time that Michael is actually winning one of the bets. Okay, and this has been going on for weeks now. So, at one point we were thinking this show is we should rename the show Drinks Champ the Remix, right? Because all this guy was doing was drinking on the show, right, to start the show. So I just want to put that out there.
It's a good day today. What's the day? The 20th of January. All right. I need to mark this in my calendar.
So, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on if you like Johnny Walker, I will be drinking 18-year-old Johnny Walker today as a result of losing that bet getting less games right. So I'm
I like
gonna.
the way that sounds coming off your tongue, sir.
And I don't have to take it as a shot, right? I mean, I don't have
No,
a
no,
shot
no, no.
glass for it,
You
so
could, you could, you could
I could
drink
go
it
through the
through the,
show with it. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have
you could
to.
go through the show.
Right. All right, that's good. All right, cheers, guys. Man, losing sucks, man. I'm not gonna
Cheers.
lie. Not bad, actually. Not bad. All right. So we got through that. We are in a state where the league and the news, the events are hyping up. We're getting closer to All Star Weekend. We're at a stage right now where the coaches that haven't performed for the season, players that haven't performed for the season, are either on the chomping block, trade market, or they're being benched. Kudos to Westbrook. But so there's a lot actually happening right now across the league. Some of the things that we see going on as well. We have a totally new MVP ranking of players that
yeah.
were not leading,
Totally.
that are now being considered for the award. I mean, it's been an interesting season, right? Because we have actually a lot of names in the pot for the first time in a long time. Usually it's it's down
Who's
to
going
three
to be
players from the
Yeah.
beginning of the season all the way through. But now we're seeing entire top 5 lists being thrown
Oh.
out for different names, which is
Yeah.
incredible for me. I think, right? But we'll go through that as well. So
Yeah.
interested in seeing how Ken, ranks his top 5 players, and of course we're going to talk about the Lakers today, of course. But we'll start off with Lonzo Ball actually. A torn meniscus, actually.
Yes.
So, what's the situation with Lonzo Ball? How long
So
is he out for?
I think from what I read, he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks?
Okay.
Because it's a slightly torn meniscus.
Okay,
So
slightly torn. Okay.
Yeah, slightly torn meniscus. So he's going to be out for about 4 to 6 weeks, which is most people would not think this, but it's actually very detrimental to the Chicago team, because Lonzo, he basically pushes the pace. He controls
Absolutely.
the ball. You may not realize how much he controls the offense and how much of an improved shooter he is from
Right.
three, right? Compared to when he was drafted by the Lakers. Like, he's so much better, right? I don't know. He's not considered as a most improved player, but he's up there, right? And that is I'm not sure how the Bulls are going to fill that void, because he is integral to that team.
Yeah. Shout out to Olinga Mitchell, by the way. He posted sounds like excuses with no shot glasses.
I mean,
Come on, man. I
was
can
he
drink a
wrong?
shot. You saw me gulping down the drink there, right? So I just want to put that out there. Shout out to Olinga, man. Thanks for tuning in. No, Lonzo Ball is definitely going to have a huge impact on how the Bulls go forward. Now, we've discussed in the past that the Bulls actually, for me, despite at some points leading the East, are not going to go really past the second round. And when you look at how the East is actually positioned right now and the type of players they have, the level of experience with championship basketball. And Ken, we're going to get to you and your opinion on the Bulls, because they've been making a lot of noise with Zach and, of course, the guy who was dubbed the worst acquisition of the season, of the offseason, DeMar DeRozan. What's your thoughts on the Bulls and, where they are right now? How far do you think this team can actually go, and also losing Lonzo at this point of the season?
So I think the Bulls right now, the Bulls have overachieved based on what we have seen so far in the NBA. Now, we know that this season has been the season with the most disruptions. We have people in and out on COVID, G League
Very
players getting called up all the time, 10-day contracts being shared out like if we were in Vegas. So when you look at all of what's been happening in the league, the Bulls have been able to maintain a pretty consistent level of play relative to the other teams around them.
That's a
But
good, yeah.
with
yeah.
Lonzo out now 4 to 6 weeks, yes, they've done a pretty good job retooling the roster, bringing in the likes of Caruso and Vucevic, and as you said, the worst acquisition of the offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But when these other teams who are currently not as healthy as they have been recently get better, and we're looking at like the Brooklyns, and we're looking at the Phillies, and we're looking at the Milwaukees, who are all sitting below them right now in the standings.
right.
When these teams get better, they have better players. So
Yeah,
the expectation would be then that they will also rise up the rankings and then be ahead of the Bulls.
yeah,
So the Bulls, they could be round about 4 or 5 when it all shakes out because it started really well. But then when it gets to the
You having
playoffs,
them
like,
dropping that low?
yes, I
Five?
do. 4 or 5 because by the time we start getting to the end of the season and attrition is setting in for everyone
yeah,
is healthy,
yeah.
but they've just lost Lonzo, so they're going to lose some games coming up.
Right.
When you put all of that together, they're going to probably fall to like the 4th or the 5th seed. And depending on who they're matched up against, this could be one and done. They could easily get knocked out in the first round of the
That's
playoffs.
I keep telling people this. Now, Chicago fans do not like to hear that, but I keep telling people you look at the championship basketball experience on that club, it is not there. You look at that, tell me who in the roster is going to give you that truly veteran leadership when the time comes to really calm things down and get you through those
They don't
points.
really have. They don't
It's
honestly don't
not
have.
there. It's not there. And people discount how much that weighs into a team's performance. We see every wonder, just look at all the championship clubs, right? And wonder why teams put a guy that barely has the legs below him, right? They'll slot him on the bench, and have him there as a voice, to balance things. Even when you have a star going off for the season, they're there for a reason, even on championship ball clubs. And Chicago, when I look at that roster, I'm screaming to myself, one, I love the fact that DeRozan is playing absolutely out of his mind.
Mhm.
But what has DeRozan done for any ball club whatsoever deep in the playoffs? What has he done? And what type of
Getting hot,
performances
man.
has we seen? So it's not hate. It's just, and shout out to Uncle Garv. I see you online from Grenada. Shout out to you as well. But yeah, so definitely, I think that's gonna have a huge impact. So what do I think they're gonna do? From my perspective in the offseason, I think they chase down maybe 1 or 2 vets, guys that can still contribute because that team needs. They don't have despite Levine being able to drop a 50-point game on you from time to time, or DeRozan being able to put together a string of 30-point games, I still think they need pieces, to make this work, to really combat the teams that they're going to be facing in the East.
Well,
So
it's very interesting you should say that because just recently, actually not too long ago, Paul Millsap and the Nets came to an agreement about finding him a
wow,
spot
wow,
of his choosing.
wow. And
Yes.
did he go with the Bulls or
No,
no?
they didn't. They haven't decided this yet. So, and
Okay.
don't forget,
Okay.
before he chose the Nets, it was down to what it was: Nets, Bulls, and Lakers, I believe.
Mm,
I think that's the 3 teams that he had as his top bid. And the reason why he wants to leave is for a bigger role. So I'm not sure why he joined the Nets
bigger
in the
role.
first place.
Wow.
Yeah, he wants a bigger role on the team.
Yeah.
So the Bulls. So I mean, the Bulls could use a guy like Millsap.
Yeah.
When you think about it, he'll be
Yeah,
a
for sure.
nice. He'll be a nice guy. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it'll work defensively,
Right.
but he'll be a nice addition to that team.
Yeah. I mean, he would definitely bring that leadership on the bench, I think.
Exactly.
But the major role aspect that you're putting into the statement changes things a bit, because even if you add him to the Bulls, I don't think he gets. Hopefully, what he's
Yeah.
talking about is, maybe he just doesn't feature well for the Nets, right? So he doesn't get
I think that's what it is.
a lot of minutes. So maybe he's still talking not really expecting to be a starter, but maybe he's talking
20,
give me 20
25 minutes.
minutes, 20,
Yeah.
25 off the bench and I'm good,
Yes.
and I
Or
can
maybe
make an
even
impact.
start in 2025.
Right. Because his
Yeah.
position, I think he'd probably be playing that center to maybe stretch four position where you have Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
You have, remember,
Along
they
that.
got,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
Lamarcus Aldridge plays for the Nets
They
as
had
well.
too
He's back.
many. They had too many guys on that spot.
Yeah, too
Yeah.
much traffic for him to get through.
Yeah. Way too
Yeah.
much traffic. Way too much traffic. Now, there's another topic out there that's really swirling. And this confuses me a bit because this is concerning a Cinderella team actually this season. And I'm really curious as to how you guys feel about this. This is
Cavs or the
about the
Grizzlies?
Cavs. Yes.
Okay.
We're hearing news about the Cavs today about a potential trade, right? With the Kings. And
Yeah.
we're talking about a Buddy Heel type trade, right? But when you listen to the pieces that they're talking about, right? It leaves you wondering, right? So have you guys heard any of the rumors today concerning the Cavs?
I didn't see that one.
I have
Yeah.
not either.
No. So they're after Buddy Heel, but from what
Okay.
I'm hearing Colin Sexton is going to be in the trade and Ricky Rubio, being packaged to send Buddy Heel the next way. And I'm thinking to myself, when I looked at how Rubio was actually performing for those guys, right? It just left me a bit confused,
But
So
don't forget the Rubio replacement. Even though he was playing well with Rubio in the lineup, he's playing exceptionally well with him not there. So they're looking at it long term. Rubio's an old veteran. He's already done his time. Let's just give the little kid the keys to the car, see what he can do.
yeah, it's a bit
think that's what it is.
confusing. It's a bit confusing for me. But clearly, what the Cavs are trying to do, they probably realize, okay, it's going to be very hard to bring in a superstar. When I say absolutely top 10 player, I think what they're trying to do is, okay, we have a solid team right now. We have Garland playing the ball of his life,
Yes.
right? But we need to add like a dependable scorer to the mix of youth that they have. You have Laurie Markkinen, who can give you 10 points, 11 boards one night, then he can go off for maybe 20 points, 11 boards the other night, but it's not a consistent package that you're getting.
Yeah,
And
they really don't have a
right.
consistent
Who
scorer
is
like
that second scorer that's going to give them that, right? So that's the thing there that concerns me. Now, if I'm doing well and I'm 1.5 games off of first place, right? And that may have changed based on the results last night. I didn't check, right?
Right.
Would I make a move where I'm moving multiple players in my lineup? So that's my question to you guys with the Cavs, right? If you were in the front office, right, and you had to make a move for that squad, what would you actually do? Who would you actually go after realistically, right? And so effectively, I'm not saying go after LeBron James. That's not an option, okay? So we're just excluding LeBron coming back to Cleveland, pretty much, okay? So what would you do? We'll put Ken. I realize what Michael's doing, right? He's putting you in the hot seat, pretty much to go first, right? So
Yeah, I know. This is fine. That's no problem. So I was listening as you were breaking down the trade as is currently being constructed. To me, this trade makes less sense from the perspective of the Kings than it does for the Cavs. And the reason is that you're trading away a piece that you have been using this season, and the Kings have been perpetually poor for God knows how long. But you do not get better by trading away Buddy Hield for two players that aren't playing for the rest of the season.
right.
So from that perspective, it blows my mind that the Kings would even take that phone call. But okay, so now we're playing matchmaker to see what the Kings, not the Kings, what the Cavs should be looking to do. Now, as you have said, Garland has been playing his best basketball since he's been in the league this season. Coincidentally, without having any small guards around him, which then forces him to have to try to play off the ball sometimes,
Yeah.
because he being a small guard, you're not expecting him to be a defensive stopper.
Right.
His best value comes with him having the ball in his hand. So they
Absolutely.
definitely have to be looking to upgrade the two guard position or the small forward position. So when you start looking now at some of the other teams
Yeah.
in the league, so you look at like the Denvers, who do they have at small forward? That guy Gary Harris that recently moved from Denver and went to Orlando. He's not really getting that much playing time down there. He's had his injury issues as well, but he is a useful piece that they could bring in. If they have nobody else, he can give you some quality minutes as a starter. And if you get somebody better, then he definitely improves your bench as well.
Right.
And right now, as you eloquently stated at the beginning, Cleveland is not a free agent destination. The only time that they've ever drawn free agents is when they had 23 in their roster.
Exactly.
So they need to find some things that they can do within some trades, and working within their system, working within that structure, trying to get some other young pieces that can grow with Garland and develop that way. That's probably the better way to go than throwing two pieces out and hoping that they can land somebody like Buddy Hield in return.
And just before Michael comes in with his opinion, so just to give you some more, even more accurate information coming out today on the Cavaliers and that rumor. So Cleveland would receive Buddy Hield and Morris Harkless, right?
Okay.
And Sacramento in return would receive Ricky Rubio, who is out for the season, Dylan Windler, Isaac Okoro, and a first round pick. All right. Now there's a second rumor. That's it. And he's
Okay.
the first round pick would be top 5 protected. Okay. Now the second trade, which, and I know a lot of people would be like, that's risky, but they're looking at Brandon Ingram at the forward position. So just as you said, from the perspective they need a forward or a 2, right? In exchange for Brandon Ingram only, right? They would lose Colin Sexton, they would lose Larry Markkinen, they would lose Dean Wade, and a 2023 first round pick. That is expensive.
Yeah,
I
that's
I
swinging for the fences right there.
I get Brandon Ingram and what he's doing down in New Orleans. Don't get me wrong, but the reason I say expensive is not really down to just the swap itself, but it's based on the performance of the team right now and moving active pieces from that team.
Yeah.
You
take away
Larry
that chemistry.
Markkinen is balling, right? His value in this trade tips the scale for me a little too much because he's contributing to their evolution. I want to say not just the victories, but the evolution. His ability to stretch the game. He
That's
can
right.
hit long shots from the 3, and he's tall enough to cause a problem in terms of not defense, but really just rebounding and disrupting the flow on the offense off the boards, right? So for me, a little too expensive, but I could understand and respect. So I'll let you take the floor, man. What's your thoughts on Cleveland?
Damn, lost my train of thought there. Well, I wanted to piggyback off of Ken with something, but I just can't remember what it is right now. Yeah, damn. All right. So to piggyback off Ken is to say about that they need to upgrade the shooting guard position or the small forward position. I think I saw something recently on that a couple days ago, maybe. Oh, maybe I was scrolling through. But anyway, there's a guy in the Rockets. Well, before I say that, Cavs need to figure out, do they want to go to make a playoff run, or are they looking for the future? Because if you want to go look at a playoff run, you're going to take a player a little younger. Not a playoff run, but if you want to look for the future, you're going to take a little player a little younger, not so much mileage that could grow with the core that you have. But if you want to make a playoff run, see how far you can get, you're going to take a player that's a little older, a little bit more experienced, who knows what he's about, just adds to the team. So first of all, they have to decide what they want to do. And if they want to make a playoff run, why not get Eric Gordon?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
No, I mean that would that would make sense, right? Because to
Right.
me, with Eric Gordon, you'd probably be getting a shooter, a knockdown shooter at a discount.
Yeah, and he knows how to score. It's not
Yeah.
just a knockdown shooter. Eric Gordon knows how to score the ball.
Yeah, he does. He
Right?
does. He does.
Right. But if you want to say, all right, let's build around this core that we have a nice little Cinderella story. We're not sure how far we're gonna go. Let's get Christopher.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think minimizing the impact of how many players you lose, because I look at
That's the
how Ricky
important thing, yeah.
Rubio, yeah, I look at even Ricky Rubio who's injured. You look at how he performed for them, and I wouldn't want to lose that. I wouldn't want to lose that element to the team because he was playing at an ultra high level for that team, and right now they're still flying despite Ricky Rubio, Colin Sexton being out. So. Would I want to go trade Larry Markkinen right now when he's
No.
playing some of the best ball of his career? No. You don't want to. You don't want to do that.
No,
You don't want to do that.
You don't mess. You don't mess with you don't mess with the formula that much.
No.
to,
Yeah. I think you're looking down the barrel of really one of the worst mistakes probably of the season. When looking back after it's all said and done. So yeah, I would stay away from a move like that, to be honest. Yeah, definitely. Now, what about your Celtics? So we've been hearing some rumors, but there's nothing really definitive out there on what's happening. We've been hearing talk about Dennis Schroeder and potentially Marcus Smart being packaged along with whatever pieces from the drafts coming up that they may have to maybe open talks with Indiana. Now, we've heard a lot of talks from Indiana die down, and that's because of, obviously, the injury to that was picked up by Miles Turner.
Yeah.
Should the Celtics be looking at a trade that would, ultimately bring us a bonus or, I would say a skilled big man, not necessarily the defensive type in Miles Turner, who's out with an injury right now for a few weeks. But should they be looking towards a Sabonis right now to, I want to be careful with my words here, not necessarily toughen up, but he does everything, right? He can knock down a three, he can pull rebounds. We've seen him do it against some of the best teams. And ultimately, he can create a little bit as a big man. To me, he's a mix of a traditional, but he's also learned the new game as well, which is a benefit to a lot of teams out there. So if you were in the front office for the Celtics right now, would you be willing to pull a trade that maybe looks at Dennis Schroeder and Marcus Smart or any other pieces they may have to try and get a guy like Sabonis in to pair with the two guys that they have? I'll let you guys handle that one.
Ken, you want to go first, or you want? Should I take this one?
I'll let you go first, Lars.
Putting you on the spot.
I appreciate that.
You're Celtics.
I appreciate that. All right, so here's what I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say yes, they should pull a trade, but I'm not necessarily sure that they should pull the trade for some folks. I'm thinking if they can get, I know this is out there. Maybe they can get. I don't know if the salaries would match. That's the only thing.
Right.
A guy like Bradley Beal to come to the Celtics. If not Bradley, then my second option would be Jeremy Grant. Right? And I think Jeremy Grant would fit in there perfectly. Well, I mean, Jeremy Grant fits in perfectly with most NBA teams. But
right. Yeah. I mean, when you look at what he brings to the table, right? I mean, it's clear cut. My thing with the Celtics, though, doesn't that make them more of a smaller lineup?
It does make them more of a smaller lineup, but at the same time, it plays to their strengths. They can switch easier. If you bring Jeremy in, even if you bring Beal in, they can switch almost any, apart from if you have like a Embiid in the game, then you have to bring in Mr. Freedom to guard him. And we know Freedom is not the greatest defender. But I mean, it's a body. It's not hard to pick up like a big body just to, I mean, I guess it is a little difficult, but
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a little easier to pick up a big body just in the event, because the way the NBA is now, everybody's playing small ball. Everybody wants to play small ball, right?
Correct.
So you're going to have a few selective games if you're playing a team like the 76ers where Embiid is going to be killing you on the inside and outside.
Right.
Where you're going to need a big guy, and that's not. And then you have Jokic if you even play them in the if you reach the finals, and that's just a playoffs. I'm thinking about if
That's
you reach finals, you have the Jokic to play with. So, but
right.
that's very rare games that you have because we don't have a lot of great big men in the league
Yeah. Yeah.
anymore. So I don't think they need to necessarily play go Big Ben because you already have Tatum. Tatum is there, but he's not really an inside guy. I mean, he's
Yeah.
big, but he's not an inside guy. We know this,
He's not.
right?
He's not. Yeah.
So you play to this you play to that small ball. Get
Yeah.
Beal, get Aldridge, get Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, I think Grant. Well, we know that's not debatable, right? Grant fits in practically into any squad anywhere because of his length, his ability to defend the
Right.
perimeter, and he's tall enough to really. He's one of those guys that you can fit in really across the board with a small lineup, right?
Yeah,
All the way
exactly.
to maybe four, borderline in some
Up to
lineups. You could
four,
even,
borderline
yeah,
five. Yeah.
yeah. He's
Oh,
a
and
bit
then
slimmer,
another one to add in there, like as my third option, is Siakam.
right? Yeah, Siakam as well.
Get
Yeah.
Siakam as well.
Where's
I think
Siakam in
I
terms of his contract though? Does he have a couple of years in there, or is it that may
let
be
me check.
something we have to look up there? But that'd be interesting, but then again, Toronto, um, they're beating good teams when you look at Toronto, right? So I mean, Toronto may
He's
be a little hesitant to
yeah, they
actually
are
open up.
winning. They're winning some games, but they're not really utilizing him. And he's in and out of some games because of injury.
Right.
But he's in the first year of his 4-year contract. His
Yeah,
137
yeah.
million contract.
It's going to be hard. You see him or Van Fleek, I think it's going to be really hard to ship. They're kind of resonating with the fans. The better they keep doing,
Well,
especially
especially
with two of
Fred.
them. Yeah, and right now Toronto is really in the playoff position, right? The play-in position. So I think in 10 they could be facing up with an elimination game against the Celtics, really. And if the
Well, I
Celtics don't
mean,
really
yeah.
get some size in there, then they're probably thinking, you know what, we have a shot here. And then, you know what, if I was Toronto, I'm looking at the Bulls in first, right? I'm looking at that spot where I could play in to get that 8 position, and I'm telling myself, you know what,
You could beat the Bulls.
the Bulls are, they're consistent, and going back to what Ken said, they're doing well against the environment they're in right now. But ultimately, when that playoff starts, we've got guys that have won a championship on this roster. We know what it takes to win games in hostile environments. When the game slows down, we have a
You got a
limited
good
rotation.
coach.
You got a good coach that's experienced at that level. I think we could take these guys. So right now, the Toronto giving up one of those players, I just don't see it. I don't see it
Yeah.
unless they were in a full rebuild and getting a host of draft picks going the OKC
Yeah.
route.
That's true.
I just wouldn't see that happening. But you never know. NBA is a strange place, man. So
Right.
that may be something that we may see coming up, and them being a market mover. Before we dive into the Lake Show,
Yeah.
so we're hearing a lot. We touched on Jeremy Grant, right? And Jeremy Grant, we know, is really being floated around everywhere. We're now hearing that there's really some Pistons Wizards movement, and I guess what could you possibly see happening in a potential Pistons Wizards type trade. I'll just read out the rumor and the pieces that would potentially be moving. So Detroit would receive Davis Bertans, Thomas Bryant, Denny Avdija, and a first round pick unprotected. Washington would receive Jeremy Grant and Josh Jackson. It's a lot
That's
of
it?
pieces moving
That's
from
it?
Detroit. That's it. That's it. I know. I read it. I thought it was interesting just going off. So I can go through it again because the Detroit Pistons, it looks like they're, because they've been, remember, they were throwing the book at pretty much the 76ers to try and get Ben Simmons, right?
Yeah.
that didn't work. 76ers have unbelievable ambitions for a Ben Simmons trade, which we all know.
Understatement.
So that fell through, but now they're trying to move Jeremy Grant, Josh Jackson for a Davis Bertans, Thomas Bryant, Denny Avija, and a first round unprotected pick in 2025.
I don't think
I
any
mean,
major names in there.
I could understand that, and I'm just looking at the starting lineup for Washington, right? You have Dinwiddie, who's at the 1, right? You got Bradley Beal at the 2.
A 2.
You got Kyle Kuzma at the 3, right? Then I guess you would slot in Jeremy Grant at the 4. And who would be their 5 effectively, right?
They could always bring what's his name off the bench.
Who?
Montrez.
I mean, you got Montrez off the bench, of course. I was thinking 6-man for him coming in anywhere from, 3 to 5. But yeah, what do you guys think about moving Grant to Washington?
Ken, what you
I
got?
look at that as a bit of a lateral shift for him.
Yeah.
Because you're leaving one team that has not won probably since a lot of the folks who might be watching our live,
Right.
to go to a team that has not won 50 games in their history. So, I mean, when you put those two things together, for Grant especially, and knowing that right now he's a very hot commodity in the league, I'd be a little reluctant. I would, if I was him, I would not want that trade, but he doesn't have a no trade clause, so they basically can package him wherever they
Send
want.
him wherever they want. Yeah.
But when I look at Detroit, though, I don't think that Washington is the team that you want to be having these conversations with if you're going to be moving a Jeremy Grant whose stock is at an all-time high. There have to be other teams out there that have more to give you, if not necessarily in terms of
that's what I was thinking.
compensation.
That's all the names you were giving, man. Like, that's it.
Right.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't be taking the call from Washington first.
Right.
I would try out Lugs' Celtics and see what they'll give me. But that 2-guard trade that they were talking about to move to get somebody like Jeremy Grant, no, that definitely would not do it either.
Right. Yeah,
He really would.
Yeah, I don't think it moves the needle, to be honest. At the same time, just based on how Washington has been performing, I'm actually surprised to begin with they're in 8th at this point of the season, because to me, they started with that energy. I thought they would be in a more comfortable situation like the Cavs, who are, I want to say 6 games or so above 500, right? So to me, I'm just a little disappointed in that squad and how they're performing.
Don't forget, though, it's still their first season together.
It's true. It's true.
They did have a training camp or whatever, but it's still their first season together, and you're gonna need a couple of games to work it out.
Yeah, I guess you're right, but I'm looking at Beal, right, who's been with the team for a very long time, and I'm thinking he wants to be in the dance this year. He's looking around and looking at the teams currently in the league, right? Looking at a vulnerable Nets team who can be beaten, really, if they don't have Kyrie for home games. That opens up the door just slightly, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at the Heat. Even though we know the Heat can perform, they're in 2nd in the East right now, by the way. They can be beaten. That's a team that can be beaten, right? So I'm looking at this as, just a player, and I'm thinking, man, the East hasn't been this vulnerable in a very long time. And we can look at it as COVID and a number of things going on, right? Untimely injuries, players not vaccinated, etc. It's a whole situation combined with so many variables that opens up the door to many teams. So this year is the year of opportunity for these teams. It's really not about really how long it's going to take to gel, but I'm thinking that's how these guys should be looking at it, right? And they have a sample of earlier in the year. So, no, that's interesting. That's interesting. So, I think we're at a point where we got to definitely look at the Lake Show. I know you're a big fan, and I think that there's so much news surrounding the Lakers right now. I'm going to start by just asking you this because this seems to be the argument on Reddit and different chat cycles that you go through. What is the biggest problem to the Lakers right now? What is the biggest problem? I know they have, and I ask this because we know they have a list of issues that they're dealing with. What is the primary issue with the Lakers right now in basketball?
Roster construction. It starts with the roster. Once you start with the roster, everything else makes sense. So I was
Right.
looking at this, right?
Yeah.
And right now they have LeBron 37, Melo 37, Dwight and Ariza 36, Wayne Ellington 34, Russell Westbrook, DeAndre Jordan 33.
Yeah, the oldest team in the league.
Can't Bazemore 32. I mean, nobody's really checking for Bazemore to be honest. But then Avery Bradley 31. And then you have Anthony Davis who's 28 going on 50. So
Yeah.
when you put
That's a good way of putting it.
That's a good one. Yeah,
when you take
That's a good
all
way
of that,
putting
right?
it.
And you put them together, and these are supposed to be the key contributors on this squad, These are not the guys who would be giving you like the Jamal Crawford minutes, who you just say, all right, we need a little offense, so we just throw in Melo, let Melo come in and take some shots. No, Melo has to be playing big minutes on this team because the team is not good. So
Wow.
I'll end the answer to your question here. The roster is the main issue that the Lakers have.
I think that's something you have to agree with. The roster, Rob Pelinka put together a very weirdly constructed team.
A badly constructed team.
Well, there we go. Because he didn't put together a team. These guys are old, and you have a defensive-minded coach, and these guys never really played defense like that in their whole career, apart from maybe Dwight and Bradley
Right.
Beal.
Yeah.
Not Bradley Beal, and Avery Bradley, sorry.
And Avery
Right?
Bradley.
Apart from those two guys who really play defense like that, they have a defensive coach trying to teach guys who never really played defense like that defense.
Yeah.
How to be doing. And right now, I think what are they ranked? Like 28 in the league in defense or something like that.
Yeah.
Opponent defense.
So this fell apart for me when they won the championship. What was strange to me is this: the team seemed to find balance going into the playoffs, right? It seemed to, you had Davis showing up for certain games, you had LeBron showing up for others when the time was right. You had contributions from KCP in
Yes,
timely
big time.
games in
Big
different.
time.
So that's what you want, right? You want enough depth so that you have different players stepping up when they're needed. Even
Rondo
though they would have
played
had
well, yeah.
terrible points in the season, we saw Rondo go off in one series. We thought, well,
Played well.
Rondo is that Steph out there shooting the three? Because it
That is
seemed like
true.
he couldn't miss at some points, right? So,
That is true.
and you break that roster. The first thing I saw was when the two centers left, because you had good coverage. You had a guy like
Yes.
JaVale, who was a little younger than Dwight, that could move laterally still, and he
And
has
play
so
great
much
defense.
length. He could, even after he could recover. The recovery defense is underrated with him because he's
That's
so
correct.
long. He could trail the play and still be defensive
be
and create a
defensive.
problem for fast and young guards.
That's
right?
correct.
You had Dwight Howard, who could come in for the mop-up minutes and clean up, and they let him leave for nothing that season. You remember? And then they were forced to go collect Gasol.
And
That's
get
where
him
it
back,
all
yeah.
started falling
That's
apart for me,
what it was.
right? They let Rondo leave. As we know, Rondo first left for Atlanta, right?
Yeah, he wanted more money. That's what it was.
He wanted more money, but and of course, it all just went downhill from there, right? We saw move after move that was just not right. You look at the move for Westbrook, we all know is every fan you talk to, I'm sure,
That was the
talked about
that
that was
the
Russell
previous
Westbrook.
LeBron and AD. They wanted Westbrook. We know that.
Yeah, but every fan out there was just crazy. You're sitting on a guy like. I'm gonna ask you this question rather than answer it and complain myself because I'm griping to myself, right? But I'm gonna channel that to you. What should the Lakers have done
Let's say you can. What you got?
We're reversing this. You still have Kyle Kuzma. You still have KCP. You still have all the pieces effectively
Still
that
got
you would have had.
Montrez.
Still got Montrez sitting on your roster. What do you do in terms of a trade at that point in time?
You try to get younger. You try to get some more legs in there that can actually do things when these older heads need to take a break. But you said that for you, it started that the breakdown started when they allowed the centers to go.
Yeah.
I have had a position. I've held this position for almost all of his career, and I know that many people do not agree with me.
Go with
But
it.
you see, when the Lakers brought in LeBron James, these are the headaches that were due to come. Because this is what happens on every single LeBron team. Every single one. Now, I was
I mean,
thinking about this, right? Now, LeBron James wanted Anthony Davis, right?
Yeah, he did.
yes.
So, wanting Anthony Davis caused them to get rid of the entire young core that they were developing to bring in Anthony Davis.
Yes.
Anthony Davis has not played 80 games in any season of his entire career.
Maybe
So,
60.
yeah, so you bring in Anthony Davis, who got hurt heading into the bubble,
Right.
and then got hurt during the bubble, but recovered enough to then play in the finals and help you win a championship. Great.
Wow, that's accurate.
So when you look now at the way how the Lakers team was constructed at that time,
Right.
LeBron was playing effectively the one.
Yeah.
Because that's what he plays for his entire career.
He's a
Yes.
yeah.
The best point guard, or should I say the most effective point guard he has had for his career, is Mario Chalmers. Which is not to say necessarily ability, but being able to play with LeBron.
Right.
Because as a point guard, you're not getting the ball. He's going to get the ball because
Yeah.
he's making the passes or he's taking the shots.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we see where we're at now with a roster that is completely confused because LeBron should be playing the one, but doesn't want to play the one. You have Anthony Davis, who should be playing the five, but wants to play the three because he doesn't want to go inside and deal with the physicality that any other center in the league is going to give him, because we know that for the minute that you blow on him, he's either going to be bouncing out of the paint or he's going to be bouncing off the court for 3 weeks. So you don't want to have, he doesn't want to play where he's supposed to play. LeBron doesn't want to play where he's supposed to play. So now, okay, we're going to bring in Westbrook.
Right.
Because Westbrook, everywhere else he's been, has been the dynamic point guard, even though we know he can't shoot. He can't shoot worth a lick.
Can't
So
shoot.
we're going to bring him in and give him the ball, because when LeBron is off, then he's supposed to be the one to make the passes and get people involved and everything. But when Westbrook is playing at 150 miles an hour, which is 98% of the time, his legs and his hands go faster than his head, and then his decision making goes out the window, which then contributes to all of these turnovers that we're seeing almost on a nightly basis. You do not have any sort of quality behind the starters, and the starters themselves are not quality. And to log to the point, when you talked about Vogel, Vogel being a defensive coach, trying to teach players who have not really played defense for their entire career, Vogel is not a good enough coach to combat the what's the word I'm looking for? The inequities, the lack of everything that you have in this Lakers squad. Honestly, I don't think there is a coach out there anywhere in NBA history that could take this Lakers team and make them winners. It's not possible. And yes, Frank Vogel is coaching for his job every single game. But even though he's coaching for his job, Rob Pelinka should be looking over his shoulder too, because this is his roster. This is
Yeah,
what
this is his
he
baby.
did.
This is his baby. Yeah, yeah. I, I'm gonna agree with you for most of what you said. Honestly speaking, we covered Frank Vogel's play, and shout out to Vaughn for joining us again.
Yeah, what up, Bob?
Uh, Vogel is limited, and we stated from the time that Jason Kidd left this roster, they were going to be in trouble
Yes.
because you're letting go effectively your offensive coordinator, right? And letting him go and leaving a defensive mind to run a ball club that needs offense. Now, things that I struggle to understand with Vogel, because I think the signs of what he needs to do, if it was to be the case that adjustments would solve this team's problems, I think from games, we see them from time to time, even in losses and wins, the few wins that they're getting, what needs to be done. So, for example, I honestly believe right now the answer to this ball club is not to give LeBron back the ball 90% of the time, because he doesn't have we saw a complete breakdown. He is 37, and as much as you're seeing him putting up almost 30 points a game, a lot of that is coming off the threes, jump shots, okay, mid-range shots, etc. Look it up. All right, and ultimately we saw a game against the Jazz. This was so telling. Okay, I don't know if someone took over that game from. I need to go back to the footage and actually see if it was Vogel that was coaching this team, because something odd happened in the fourth quarter. I'll bring this up again. We saw Stanley Johnson effectively turn into a footwork maestro. This
Yes.
guy was going at Gobert, and I mean going at Gobert in the fourth quarter. And I don't mean literally driving the ball in transition, where it's really just momentum and a couple steps. I'm talking freezing Gobert off the dribble, pulling him out, and then going with under him, and scoring baskets. The guy had like 3 straight baskets or so in the fourth where he just looked. That is what LeBron needs. LeBron doesn't need necessarily a point guard. I don't think he needs he just needs a bucket getter that can take the weight off his shoulders. Okay? Davis, my problem with Davis is that Davis is a player that we've seen in New Orleans that put up 30 points, 20 rebounds. He'll have these enormous games. But since coming to the Lakers, right? Have you seen Davis do that for 10 games in a row where you're just like, oh my, like Embiid? I'll bring up Embiid. Embiid was on a tear for the last 10 games, right? Or so.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? 30 points, averaging 30 and 11 boards or something like that.
Yeah.
Let me
Almost
ask you a
shooting
question.
50%.
Have you seen that consistently where Davis is ultimately dominant from the 5 or dominant from the 4, where he sticks in that position and Vogel doesn't have to adjust his position because the next game he's either injured or he's lost his momentum and you got to start from scratch again? He's not been that player. And that's why I've mentioned to Michael, stop calling Davis a top 5 player in this league. He's absolutely not a top 5 player.
No, definitely not.
Stanley Johnson gave us the answer. If you can't make moves, you can't move Westbrook. You can't make any substantial moves for a guy that can score and score, absolutely score. Then give Johnson more minutes. Give him more minutes. He's tall, he's athletic, and he's going to cause a problem for the guys on the wing. Instead, he's on his third 10-day contract, despite being 1 and 2 in defense easily on that team. I'm confused. There's a chance they let go of this guy. And fans are going to be like, what is going on with Pelinka? What are they doing in the front office? I'll let you take over, Michael.
Yo, let's remember that, right? They don't have much assets to trade or move, right? So you had to look at what you got and what you could give away, what you could give back. I'm sure they would give away Westbrook if they could, but there's no team in the NBA that's willing to take his contract, right? Well, maybe you might find somebody, but you might have to get a 3-4 team deal going where he goes and everybody gets a nice little picture. But you had to look away from that. And Westbrook is not really the problem. per se. It's just the guys, the personnel that Frank chooses to play, and then the personnel that Pelinka chooses to get, and then mixing that all together, and you have a one big pot of nothing. And then when you have AD, who's just been. I feel every time he goes out, I feel like he's not sure of what he's supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like, should I be the man? Am I the man here, or should I like just be like, okay, I'm a supplementary player to LeBron. Let me just help him out, because he doesn't play like, yo, give me the ball, watch what I do with it. You know, it's not like that. At least when he was on the Pelicans, you could just see like, all right, give me the ball, I'm gonna post, I'm gonna take a little spin, I'm gonna go inside, bang. He put on weight. How much point? Like, he put on 10 pounds of muscle or something in the off season to say, all right, like, I want to play the 5. Yeah, we saw the pictures, right? Put on 10 pounds of muscle, come and say, all right, I'm gonna play the 5. He plays against Cat and gets demolished. Demolished. And then runs away from the paint and starts shooting 16% from 3. How you gonna shoot 16% from 3? 16?
Absolutely shambolic, man. Absolutely shambolic.
I don't even know what they could do to fix it. Get rid of Vogel? Okay, fine. Get an ex-head coach? All right.
I think they should. He is limited. I think he's given the circumstances, and I think fans should be thankful he was part of that championship team. But I think inherently Vogel is limited in terms of what he brings, and I think the Lakers right now are, if you call yourself a defensive-minded coach, and we said the Lakers have not looked like a defensive-minded team for a very long time now, you got to make moves. You have to dial down. If you can't solve your age problem, then you have to come up with schemes to where you slow the ball game down and you play to your strengths. And you got to score the basket. You have to help LeBron James. You can't have a 37-year-old averaging 30 points, and then the next person closest to him is a guy scoring 12 points, or the next best player on the team is a guy that's on a 10-day contract, going off in the fourth. That just that sums up the Lakers on a whole. You got. I mean, Russell Westbrook is earning $40 million a year, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and this guy is what? I mean, every day I pull the stat sheet, 12 of 14. Sorry, 2 of 14, 3 of 15. Just today, by the way, we saw that Vogel was backed by the front office to bench him, right? Going into the fourth in the last game they had, he did just that, but it had zero impact, unfortunately. LeVert was just cutting
Yo,
everyone.
listen, there's no effort on defense. There's no effort on offense. They don't even look like they want to play basketball. It wasn't even just about. I mean, I saw some plays where they broke down Westbrook's defense, right? But it wasn't just Westbrook. Like, the whole team looked like there was no effort. And I've seen this before. There was a time LeBron got a steal, and he was 5 against 1. So he just jacked up a 3.
We saw
because
that.
nobody came back down. That's when IT was on the team still, right? There's no effort, no urgency to be like, all right, cool, we got a steal, let's go back down. Or, let's stop this transition offense from making an easy bucket. Guys just came back like it's a pickup game. Like, all right, you got a rebound. Yo, that's my man here right in front of me. So you can just blow on by and make your layup if you want to.
No, but the thing is, it's impossible for you to get the level of effort that you're describing when you have a whole bunch of centenarians on the court.
Yeah.
How am I going to run down here and then be passing and cutting and doing all of these things offensively? And then somebody, no, it's unfortunate that we've been using Westbrook as
the scapegoat.
Yeah, because it's not all his fault.
And
like you said, they lost the game even though they benched him. So, yeah, but I'll use him for my example. So Westbrook makes a bad pass and the guy snatches the ball. Who's supposed to run back with him? There's nobody on the court that has any legs to chase this man back down the floor and try to make a defensive stop in the open floor. So it all comes back again to the roster. This roster is so poorly put together, and it is a lot of LeBron's friends that aren't with it anymore. That's just the reality of it, and there is nothing that they can do because, like, from what I saw, the next time that they have a first round pick that they can try to trade is like 2026.
26, yeah, 2026, something like that.
So what do you do then? Nobody is taking any of these old men to bring in to make anything happen. And like the comment that just came in, that's why they had Monk and none, but none has contributed
Has
just as
not
much as
played
his
a game.
name. He has given you what his name suggests. None.
None.
Nothings. And all right, so you have Monk, but Monk, one man by himself can't do it.
Yeah.
Everybody can't do it either.
So I saw something today, right? Despite Monk having the best plus minus, right? He's not
Right.
starting. Right?
This is true.
It was. I saw a list of these things actually that were really going against sacking Vogel. You know, and
Yeah,
it spells
that's the thing.
it spells trouble for him, to be honest, because there's a lot of things happening with this team rotationally. And
Yeah,
we
we know his
talked about his
rotation is a
ability
problem.
it's
Yeah.
a problem. It's a problem.
Mm.
And as I said, some of the answers, I'm not saying turning this team into all of a sudden a top contender, but I'm saying there are definitely ways that you can change this team around to at least playing some winning basketball against teams they should be beating, like the Indiana Pacers with their star player on a bad ankle last night. You had no right to lose that game, right? So they are in a whole pile of trouble right now if they don't get that turned around.
That's actually a good question. Why isn't Ellington playing?
Yeah, that's a Vogel question. I honestly, it's another
No, it's a
Vogel.
great question. Why isn't Ellington
No,
playing? That's
yeah,
a great
it's
question.
a good question. It's a good question. But that's another, you know, that's something that you have to ask. You have to ask, you know, and it's just unfortunate. THT would be, for me, would be getting lower minutes. You know, I've seen him hit some big
Definitely.
shots, but definitely some lower minutes. Let him build
He's not
himself
a
into
shooter.
the
He's
team.
more
He's not.
of a slasher kind of guy.
Yeah, he is. So bring him in when you need some points, some quick points on the board, but he has to learn the game. When I look at his game, I just don't see that player that should be maximizing minutes right now.
So you remember there was a game recently where they came back from being down 20. Just recently. Was it against the Jazz? I can't remember. So anyway,
Yeah.
the lineup that was in was LeBron with a bunch of shooters. And they came back from being down 20. It was Austin, because you know we like Austin. He definitely needs more minutes. It was
Right.
Austin, Monk, and I can't remember who the two other players were. But it was basically LeBron at center with just a bunch of shooters around him. And they came back in the game. And honestly, that's what they need to do. The problem is when AD comes back. Oh yeah, see, Ariza. So problem is when AD comes back, what are you gonna do? How does that change the dynamic? Because you could rest Russell, right? You could say you're resting Russell for like to begin the fourth and bring him in with 7 minutes or something to go. But that first couple minutes, you run LeBron with a bunch of shooters. When is AD gonna incorporate into that? You gonna bring him in the same time as Russ? Nah, you gotta bring him in before, or you gotta bring him in after, or something like that.
Yeah, and
so
we
how
saw,
did they incorporate?
Yeah, and we saw some glimpses of, because remember when earlier in the season they were trying to mix and match. You saw Russell playing some early minutes in the first quarter, then they would bring him in with the second unit, try to get things going, and it just was not working. So we thought at the time, okay, you know, just give it time. But then we saw that you know, at the 20 game mark, we weren't seeing any
Nothing was
aggressive improvement. It just seemed like whatever they threw out there, it just was not working. And that's when we started bringing in the episodes on Vogel to look deep into what's truly happening. And it's truly a shit show right now, because you're looking at Jason Kidd is
honestly.
gone, so your offensive mind off the bench, sitting on the bench, is gone. You have a bunch of players that were there with the old squad leaving. You have the age issue. You have a coach that's more defensive minded. I have to put up quotation marks
Yeah,
now
well,
because
he can't get the team to play defense. Right?
yeah, the level of defense he's asking for with the age groups that you're looking at.
Yeah,
There,
it's
these guys are not
impossible.
looking to do that right now. Well,
Yeah.
what's confusing is, as a coach who believes in defense, I would have been screaming. I would have. How do you consider yourself a defensive-minded coach and you allow Rob Pelinka to ship out Alex Caruso? How do you do that? A guy that's
happens.
leading the league in steals. He clearly showed time that he's the sacrifice guy. That was pretty much your Lakers Marcus Smart equivalent, right? He could hit
Yeah,
a
okay.
timely
Fair
shot.
enough.
He could drive the ball and dunk it. He has this uncanny athletic ability. I think that's why they call him the GOAT, right?
Yeah, that's
Down
true.
there.
That's true.
And
He can pass. He's a good
he
passer.
could pass the ball too in transition. The guy was.
Yeah.
I love seeing the guy in transition. How in the world do you let this guy go?
Money.
Power. I
Well,
think
when
it's
you
more
when you
about power.
well,
It's a power dynamic.
Caruso said in the interviews he
He was
wasn't
willing to take
asking for
less.
much more. He was
No, he
yeah.
wasn't. He wasn't.
So
And he actually wanted Pelinka to match what he was getting from the Bulls, and he said no, and he said he'll take a little lower, and he didn't want to give him the lower. They were willing to offer him, I think it was 4 or something like that, and he
Yeah.
wanted and he was willing to take 8,
right.
and he was like, nah, I'll give you 4 or something like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely. So Vaughn is saying, so why play with one of the fastest pace in the league? You know,
To make up for that defensive inefficiency.
it's absolutely mind-boggling what's going on with this league, with this team in particular. Honestly, so question here, right, to you guys:
Yeah.
where ultimately do you see this team ending up this season?
5-6.
Playing.
Wow,
Playing.
5-6. You know what? I remember I've made the comment. I said if LeBron James was averaging 30 a game and they were able to climb up to 6, playing the way they're playing, give this guy MVP. I'm telling you right now. Especially if
Alright,
they don't
so-
make major changes.
But look, what do you have to do? Look at the West right now. 1 is the Suns, 2 Warriors, 3 Grizzlies, 4 Jazz, 5 Mavericks, 6 Nuggets, 7 Timberwolves, 8 Lakers, 9 Clippers, and 10. Well, Blazers are basically out, right?
Yeah. If the
So-
Lakers, you know, and I get
And 6 to 9 is only separated by basically 2
Two games.
7
games,
to
really.
9 is basically 1 game. 7 to 9 is 1 game.
right.
Because the Nuggets are up 2 games over everybody else.
Yeah, 5-6. So I could see 6 being doable
Yeah,
if the
5 to
Mavs continue to
They
pull
could
apart.
do it. They could do it.
Yeah, no. If they end up in 5, give the guy MVP. You know, and I say that
You're gonna-
based on the way his fellow
You mean
teammates are playing.
if LeBron plays and gives you 30 a night, almost 30 a night, and the way he's playing. So what? All right. So my question is, if the Nuggets finish at 5,
Mhm.
should you give Joker the MVP?
I think
If he
should
continues
be in
playing,
definitely
if
should
he
be in the
continues to
conversation.
play the way he's playing right now,
Definitely should be in a conversation. I'll give you a statement here. So we've been talking about Embiid, right? And this is going to factor into your conversation when we get to that MVP conversation, right?
yeah.
But what I would say here is this: Jokic leads Embiid in almost every advanced stat that's available to you. Every single advanced stat, you know, that they look at, typically win shares, all those different things. Every
Yeah.
metric, the guy's blowing Embiid out of the water. Now, don't get me wrong, Embiid for that stretch impressive. You
Yeah,
can't you're gonna find it hard to match anything against that. But
correct.
Jokic is that guy, so definitely has to be up there. I'm just saying, if LeBron is able to somehow pull the Lakers into that conversation and grabs 5, you gotta put his name up there in the slot in the conversation,
But
Maybe
because
the,
at number 3.
his teammates are playing absolutely horrible
but
basketball.
the thing that I'm looking at, right? Remember, we just said that LeBron is 37 years old.
Yeah,
LeBron is
yeah.
currently playing pretty much 37 minutes a night
Yeah,
Yes.
to get the points that he's getting, to
right.
try to push the team where they are right now. Not
Yeah.
just thinking about the next 40 games,
Yeah.
40 games
Yeah.
in a condensed second half of the schedule
Yep.
with all of these postponements and everything that happened because of COVID. There is no way, and I would come back and take a shot if I am wrong,
We-
but there
You know
is
what?
no
We're gonna take
way.
you up on that one. We're taking you up on that one.
There is no way that LeBron does not get injured playing this number of minutes, playing as hard as he
Interesting.
is. For he's playing at 37 years old, playing.
You know he's
37
injured
minutes.
right now, though, right? He has the abdominal thing.
Strain.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so but he's playing through the abdominal strain. So for all intents and purposes, he's not hurt because he's
You-
playing.
You know why I think healed out? I think you're gonna be back on the show drinking, and here's why.
me.
I love it.
I-
I love it.
LeBron's game, how he's achieving those points. He's doing it.
It's
see,
different. It's
Despite,
different.
despite, it's not like Miami LeBron where he's like smashing the rim every 2 minutes and getting beat up. Just his body's being beat up. No, he's relying on the step back jumper. He's relying on that fadeaway mid range quite a lot now. He's
Mhm.
actually, I wouldn't even say evolving, because he's been doing this for since Cleveland. Really, he's been relying on that step back and actually the mid range game a lot more.
And he's improved. He's improved a lot when he came to LA.
He is shooting more efficiently than KD at the moment.
Mhm.
At the moment. So the way what's that telling me? He's actually shooting the ball quite impressively, and that's helping his longevity. So I would watch out there and
I-
take you up on that.
No, my counter to that, right,
Right.
is that we've spoken about the defensive numbers for the Lakers.
Right.
Firing Vogel is not going to fix that. But let's
Right.
say they fire Vogel and they bring in another coach who is more offensive minded and not as defensive minded.
Right.
Their defense is only going to get worse. So then he's going to have to take more shots. He's going to have to do more.
Right.
Westbrook is not contributing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not getting consistent numbers from anybody else
I
on this
agree.
roster. How is LeBron by himself going to take this old ass Lakers team from 22 and 23 to the 6th seed?
I
How?
got one answer for you. You're gonna laugh. The switch.
I will.
The switch. LeBron turns that switch on.
He can go 0 dark 30 from now to April.
Zero dark 90.
I do not see LeBron by himself, because we are agreeing that Anthony
No, it's
Davis
a good point. It's
is
a good
not
point.
coming
It's a
back and
legitimate point.
lasting to the end of the season.
It's a legitimate point. No, it's a legitimate point, man. But I'll take you. We'll take you up on that bet, though, to get you back on the show. Taking a shot at something that you probably absolutely hate.
funny.
So
I don't drink alcohol, so that will tell you anything that has to do with alcohol.
so we got
That's funny.
something for you. We're gonna put you right back on the hot seat here,
Let's
with
Let's do it.
some stats. I'll let you explain, Michael. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
take it away.
All right. So here's what we normally do. I normally give you sometimes I mix it up. I give you 2 players, 3 players, 4 players. I got 4 players here. I show you some blind stats. We go through the stats, and then one by one we're gonna choose which one you wouldn't have on your team and then we're gonna go all the way down to which one you ultimately choose, and then I'm gonna tell you afterwards who the guys you eliminated and then who's the one you actually chose. So here's where we go. Player A.
This is for the season. He averaged 24 points a game, 2.2 assists, 1.5 steals, 2.6 blocks, 10 rebounds, one turnover. He was 54% from the field. 3-point shooting was terrible. Terrible. Yeah, free throws was at least 80%, so he made back up for it there. Player 2, 21.9, so basic 22. 3 assists, almost 1 steal, 2.6 blocks, which is great. 12 rebounds, almost 3 turnovers, 50% from the field. Another horrible 3-point shooter, and mediocre at the free throw line. Player C, 27 points, 4 assists. I think he's the best assist guy on this one. 1.4 steals, 9 rebounds, almost 10. Almost like less than a block, which is a little weird given what we see here are the stats. 50% from the line. Clearly not a 3-point shooter. Average at the free throw line. And the last player, 24 points, almost 3 assists, barely any steals, almost a block, 7 rebounds, 2 turnovers. This one is a better 3-point shooter than the rest, and a better free throw shooter. So the question is, where we always start from, who's the first player you're going to eliminate and why?
I mean, these stats make it a little challenging.
No, I haven't seen. I'm thankful that you're on the show, man, because I'm not even wanting to touch this one. This one is like,
I think. All right. So the first player I'm eliminating is player B.
okay.
Yeah. Even though player B has the highest rebound numbers, which would suggest that he does do some work on the inside. The 60% free throw shooting and 16% shooting from 3, it gives me room. It makes me pause, because if you're playing inside to get all those rebounds and you can't make free throws, chances are we're gonna have a hack a shot situation, and that's only gonna hurt me in crunch time, and I'll probably have to sit you. So no, he will have to go for me.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's a good assessment there. All right. Yep. No, that's good.
You eliminate anybody that way, or are you staying out of this one?
No, I honestly, I'm agreeing with him. That free throw percentage, plus you compound that with the 3-point shot, the turnovers being the second highest of the bunch.
Yeah.
Despite the blocks coming in, it's a lot going on here that doesn't bode well for this player. So I would have to agree. Player B would be the.
All right, the first player out. Okay, all right. So we got A, C, and D left. Who's next up? Who's next to get cut? So hard.
Probably player C. Player C will
Player
probably be
C.
the next to go.
Let's see why. He's averaging the most points.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a highest field goal percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem?
He's not taking shots from outside, so he's just working on the inside. And while he is scoring his free throws, and he is giving me some rebounds, I believe that I can make up with his points more so than the fact that he's not spacing the floor at all. And in the modern NBA, spacing is pretty much everything. So he probably would have to go too.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
what we got out of it?
That's a tough one. One metric that that pulls me to the players is the turnover rate, right? And obviously he's one of the highest of the few remaining, almost by a turnover over player D.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The rebounds, I mean, it's okay. The rebounds are up there at 9.7. Of the remaining players, he's also up there in steals. Assists are okay, but the turnovers versus the assists, I mean, the turnovers are pretty high, right? The points, but his inability to space the floor, that's a good indication of a player that, like player B, that is effectively like player A, sorry, who I think is still on the board, that is failing to really space the floor. Um, his points, when you look at the points, 24 versus 27 points a game. If we were comparing that to 21 points, I would say that there's a gap, but
Hmm.
24 points versus 27, I think they're all in the same category,
That's
really.
that's one bucket.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
so
one
for me,
three shot that he's not taking.
yeah, so
Exactly.
yeah, so for me, I just think that and obviously the field goals. I have a feeling that this is a player that plays really on the inside, so that I don't want to get fooled, misplaced. The reason that field goal percentage is elevated for him is because he's operating right around the rim.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what's pushing that up to 55%. I don't believe that that's coming from mid-range jumpers or long-range jumpers just inside the three-point line, because the three-point indication is sort of it gives you a window into their shooting, right? Just a little bit. So I would have
Yeah.
to agree. Player C would be out for me as well.
All right. So
Yeah.
player B out, player C out. All right. So it's the last elimination. Who's the last to get cut? Who you
So
got?
I had a little bit more since we had some time to think about this one, so I could go
Yeah.
faster on this one. So player A is going to be my third one cut.
What?
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Hmm.
I'm assuming you're doing this because of the 3-point percentage?
When you look at those averages, right? 52% from the floor,
All right.
39% from three, 89% from the free throw line, compared to 53% from the floor, or 54.
Yeah.
1% from 3 point line, and 80% taking free throws.
Right.
Okay, the rebounds. The rebounds are definitely in the favor of player A, as well as the blocks, the steals.
And steals. Yeah.
So the defensive metrics are there, but points are just about the same, and the assists are in player D's favor.
Okay.
While he is half a turnover more per game than player A, I think that with those shooting numbers, you have a player that can give you more on a more consistent basis. Like, I think player A will give you good numbers every so often. I give you relatively consistent numbers, but the opportunity for doing more in the offense is with player D. So I'll probably go player D over player A.
Damn. So your ultimate choice was player A. I mean,
Yes.
sorry, player D. Player D.
Yes. Yeah,
For
player
your
D
team.
wins. Hmm.
All right. Cool. Who you got, Atwi? A or
Ooh,
D?
this is tough, man, because this one is particularly tough because let's say the assists are even, but you're
Yeah.
looking at player A, who definitely, to me, that's a wide margin. That's a whole steal a game
Right.
over that you're averaging.
Two more blocks a game.
Two more blocks a game. That's to me, that's huge. So you're looking at a defensive presence.
The only
Um,
difference is really the 3-point and the rebounds.
Yeah, I think for me, this is just someone who's not gonna be taking the three, or it depends on how you did your selection. If we're looking at different players in different eras, then maybe this is just a player that didn't, maybe attempted some, but not a lot.
Okay.
So and back then we know they didn't really care about the 3-point shot. So,
That's
guys would
correct.
just shoot and didn't really bother about their percentages, right?
Yep.
He shoots the free throw at 80%.
Yeah.
That changes the equation from what player C was giving us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me player A, man. I'm going with A. I'm going with A. I'm going with A, man. I'm gonna take A. I have a feeling, so I'm gonna make a guess as to who A is, right?
All right. Tell me.
Give me Shaq. And one of the no, because Shaq never shot 80%, so that's not Shaq. Give me which one of the bigs shot 80%, but that low on the
I don't think you'll get it.
yeah, if yeah.
I don't think you'll get it.
Is it the Admiral?
Nah,
It's not the Admiral. Okay.
it's not.
All right.
So
No,
I'm gonna tell you
let's-
I'm gonna tell you guys the position is a power forward position,
Oh,
not the center position. So,
that can't be
but
Timmy. Can't be Timmy. But go ahead. Go ahead.
let's go through.
Give
The
us-
first one we eliminated was player B, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right. So player B is Tim Duncan from the 2003-2004 season. This is the season after he won the back-to-back MVP and earned his 7th straight All-NBA first selection. Right? So you can see, tell by the numbers, it looks like Timmy numbers. All right. So next was player C. What's funny you said about player C, Atwe, is that he gets the majority of his buckets on the inside.
Yeah.
So, player C is Karl Malone from the 96-97 season.
Wow.
This is a season where Malone was named MVP for the first time in his career.
Wow. Wow.
So you see where this is
Wow.
see where this is going now?
Wow.
All right. So, Ken picked player A as his winner. Who you
No, I
pick
got
as your winner
A.
again?
I
picked-
got A, and he had D.
Yeah.
Oh, you got A. All right. Since Ken is we'll do Ken's on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ken's winners last. So you picked A. So player A was no, that's you. Then your boy Anthony Davis from the 2014-2015 season. This was a season where Davis made All NBA first team for the first time in his career.
Wow. You must be impressed with that. Wow.
See, the one thing that he's not going to put there is how many games he played that season, right? So,
Hey, listen. All right.
So
And now for player D, y'all can guess who player D. I know. Now that we know it's power forwards, can you guess who player D is?
a power forward.
Paul Ford, that's shooting.
The first giveaway would be the rebounds, the steals, and the blocks. And after that, you'd be like, what power forward didn't give me barely any rebounds, barely any blocks, barely any steals? Then you're looking, you see, all right, man, he shot 50, almost 40 from 3, and was almost 90 from the free throw line. No, any names come to mind?
I'm trying to think here. This can be Aldridge. It cannot be Zebo. It cannot be
Kevin Love.
Hey, look at that. Somebody in the comment section got it.
Oh, who?
Player D is
who
Dirk
gave us that?
Nowitzki.
Wow.
From the
Hey, you know what?
2000, the 210 to 211 season. This was the season where Dirk led the Mavericks to their first championship
You know what?
against the.
Just because of that crazy answer, Vaughn, you just won yourself a month's worth of Spotify
I
premium,
agree.
man. So
I agree. I agree.
I think definitely for giving that answer. So
Yeah.
just link me in the chat with the private chat. Just send it to me on Facebook, and I'll link you with a month's free premium. And all I need is your email address. Okay.
I feel Vaughn went on to Google and put in those stats and got Dirk.
Well, he was quick on it. He was good on it, man. Because
Nah, he was good at it.
you know, so that's pretty good, man. So if you got Spotify, if you use Spotify, you'll be bumped up to the premium account. So no ads, no anything. If you don't have it, it's pretty easy to set up, and definitely stream for a month, man. All the music you want, curate your list, and enjoy it, man. All right.
Spotify Premium is so nice. I have it.
Yeah, it's
it's so
definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. So.
And you can find the Green Bitch podcast on there.
That is
Oh
true.
yeah, that's right.
That is
that's
very
right.
true.
That's right. So you can tune in there. No, that's
yeah.
excellent, man.
Yeah.
That Dirk pick was pretty surprising, by the way. So
Right.
no, that caught me off guard. Now, typically we tend to go through a list of random players. We put you on the spot. But I'm looking at the time right now. We're an hour and a half through, so that time really flies by, even though we try to structure things. And I don't want to force our guests to be here longer than you need to be. But what I can do, if you do have 5 minutes, I can take you through maybe 5 or so players, and let's just get a feel for what you think about those players. Okay?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. All right, so let me just pull this up real quick here.
Are we doing the tiers?
Yeah, we're doing the tiers pretty much.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Just give me one moment, and I'll have this pulled up.
I'm feeling a little cold, so I'm gonna take a shot.
Yeah, just bear with me, guys, and I'll be right up with this.
So this is for the future victories.
I gotta have it as a standard picture, so I don't have to search for it.
Keep looking
because,
for it.
Yeah, that's the main thing, Just bear with me 1 second, guys. I'll have it up momentarily.
Oh, so while we're waiting for Acrid, Ken, quick question, because we're not technically gonna go through the whole list. Who's your leader for MVP right now?
So I was trying to look at that to try to make a selection, but right now we got so many things going against certain players. But I'll be a little bit of a homer and say my favorite player of the league right now, Stephen Curry. He would be my leader.
You still have Steph as number one?
Yeah, I still
after
have him.
all of this.
After the last few games, I still have him as number one, because winning still matters, right? The team is still second in the West and still has the second best record in the league. So when you take that into consideration, I give him the edge. But then obviously there are others, like y'all made mention of the tier that Embiid is on. He has to get some love. Giannis is always going to be there. And then so those are like my top three right now.
Okay.
And then the outsiders, they have Jokic, who is 26 points per game, 14 rebounds, 7.5 assists, monster numbers, but his team is not really winning, so that goes against him. Ja Morant, he's missed 13 games over the season, but he's averaging almost 30 points a game. So that is something that has to be taken into consideration. And then I know KD was another name that was up there as well, but he's now out 4 to 6 weeks. So that is going to hurt his candidacy going forward also.
That's interesting. I still has Steph on top. I don't even have Steph. My Steph is not even is he in my top 5?
Yeah, I think he's in my top 5. Yeah, so I think mine is, let me just find it real quick.
My 5 was Giannis at 1, KD at 2. This is just up to the injury. KD at 2, Steph at 3. I had a tie for 4th between Embiid and Jokic, and then I would say 5th, but it's not really 5th, but like 6th. I had DeMar.
Yeah, I thought about DeMar as well, but DeMar has Zach LaVine. And the numbers between the two of them are very, very similar. The impact might not be the same.
The impact is different, yeah.
But when you look at it that way, then I don't know, they kind of cannibalize each other. So it was a little.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. Oh, we got the pick. We got our test set up.
All right.
Oh shoot.
All right. So with you, the difference is, so what I'll explain here is certain things. We got top 5 ever, which means that they are an elite company. There's only 5 players you can have in that category. Best of era, right? Superstar, star, all-star, exceptional talent, NBA player, G League, should not be in the league, and doesn't know basketball.
Kwame Brown.
Right? Now, for you being on the show today, what we're going to do is we're going to expand beyond current NBA players.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to take you through about 5 to 6 players, and you'll let us know your take on it. So we'll start with Steve Nash.
Ooh.
Where do you play Steve Nash?
Wow.
So there's a good friend of mine that for him, he believes that Steve Nash was born. Yeah, he was born in the stars, and he is this superhuman that should not be considered among mortals. I don't share his opinion. I believe that Steve Nash would be superstar. He would be superstar level. I don't think he was
Interesting.
definitely not best of his era, and he's definitely not top 5 ever. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put him superstar. Superstar
Ah,
would be a good spot for him.
that's
Yeah.
fair.
I
That's
think
fair.
that's fair.
I,
I do.
I do not disagree.
Yeah, I have to agree. It would be unfair to just call him a star. You know,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was must-see TV with that Sun squad winning 60
he
games.
was
plus
basically
and,
Steph
right.
Mhm.
Well, a tier below
with a
Steph,
pass.
but yeah,
With a pass.
yeah,
With a
yeah.
pass.
big time. Another player, Carlos Boozer.
Ooh.
Damn.
So at the very best of Carlos Boozer, I think he would have been exceptional. He would have been an exceptional talent.
At the very best.
At his very best, yeah. I do not remember Carlos Boozer having a prime long enough to be considered all-star. Exceptional feels like a safe landing spot for him because I think he was better than just the regular NBA player, but he wasn't all-star caliber for a long enough period in his career. So I give him exceptional talent.
I
Okay.
have to agree with that. I think he had all-star moments, a couple
Yeah.
seasons where he was at an all-star level. But I think if you summarize it, I think we're in that exceptional talent area.
Mhm.
What about you?
I guess exceptional talent. I can't. You see, things we can't do in between. So it's not like I can say in between. So like, what he did the most was be exceptionally talented.
Right. It's
So
hard to
that's what
argue
he's gonna
against that. Right?
Yeah.
Another player, Meta World Peace.
Ooh, Ron Artest.
If you're just looking at his fighting ability, he would be a star. But we're not just looking at Malice of the Palace Artest. But
Right.
I think he's all-star though. I would put him all-star because of his defensive prowess. He was like the next coming of Rodman. So I would say all-star.
Okay. What I've told men a lot of times is, and I don't think they realize it, being defensive player of the year is like winning the scoring title. Because that's a defensive equivalent.
I think it's even more respected too. Yeah.
And it's because you're playing defense. So it's
Yeah.
it's like a notch under MVP and slightly above scoring title, right? Because you're the best at defense. Basically, you're saying that you're the best at defense, and the scoring title, you're saying you're the best at scoring. So you gotta have one on each side. So all-star.
Okay. I mean, I would definitely say there was certain parts where Ron was like playing like a star, but not a star in my books. I think definitely had they kept, that's a good take there, had they kept that situation in Houston going, I think where he had more prominence on both sides of the floor, I think we're talking star. But I think because he became more of a specialist in LA,
Yeah, he
you know,
was just
in a
like a
support
three-point
role.
shooter, defensive, a 3-and-D guy in LA, kind of.
Right.
Mhm.
I think that's the case. So I would say definitely all star.
Yo, but the thing is, for Ron is that Malice in the Palace just tipped the scales off because he was headed in a direction. Because that season before, he was killing.
yeah,
He was scoring points, and that Pacers team was nice,
Yeah, it was.
incredible.
right? And then that Malice in the Palace, it was all downhill from there.
Jermaine O'Neal.
Woo! Okay, Ken.
Oh boy, Jermaine O'Neal. No, when I think of Jermaine, I think of the early days of his career when he was really, really good,
Right.
and then coming on to the end,
He was really, really bad.
he was not doing it. So it's difficult now to try to say like which side of the scale do I want to weigh more heavily.
All-star. Come on.
I think for me, he's an exceptional talent.
Yeah, I can't call Jermaine
You're not
an
calling him an All
all-star.
Star?
Yeah, I because it weighs. What happened to his game is it weighs him down very heavily, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not.
Wow.
I can't look past that, and he's done some. He sustained some years of really playing as a threat on both sides of the
Yes.
floor.
When
Mhm.
he was on the Pacers,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
But to say that at the end of his career he's an all-star, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Especially if
Damn.
we're calling Ron Artest an all-star. Can we
Yeah.
put Jermaine in the same category? I don't think so.
I don't think so
I
either.
don't think so. I think that would be unfair to guys that we're placing in that category. No, he's had a good career. I've got another name for you guys to shake things up, and that would be Baron Davis,
BD.
BD.
Oh boy. So I know Barry Davis was box office. He was one of the people that was really, really exciting to see, and he definitely got some butts and some seats. But then when you look at his numbers, no, his numbers were not exceptional for enough of his career. And I do not remember him getting that many all-star nods either. And just for the spectacle of Baron Davis, I would love to stick him as an all-star. Even a star.
The spectacle
no.
had me at star.
But when you take it in totality, I think he would have to be another exceptional talent.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
Ooh. I think that's. Ooh. I'll let you go first.
Wow. Like when BD was BD, I have BD as a star.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, but then like we said, is overall, I see BD as I can't put him as an exceptional talent because he was more than just an exceptional talent. I have BD as an all-star, man.
Yeah. I have to go with all-star because of that. Those years that he sustained, where he was actually legitimately playing as a star and beating part of a huge and which was it peaked when they became giant killers, right? So
Yeah, when they
mean,
beat the number one seed.
yeah, I think that in itself, and this guy was part of a 1-2
And I'm
punch, right?
still seeing the dunk right now.
Oh yeah, where
I'm still seeing the
it's like a sideways type tomahawk in a way. It's just,
Yeah.
that was pretty
I'm
nasty.
still seeing the dunk.
Yeah, definitely. So where you said you would put him at as an all-star, right?
I have him as an all-star.
Yeah, I have him as an all-star as well. So last player I've got for you guys, Nick Van Axel.
Ooh, Nick the Quick. All right.
Okay.
Nick
So I really don't remember too much of Nick Van Exel
Yeah.
at this point. I would literally be throwing a dart at the board because
Right.
I have no idea where to put him. I think, from what I remember, Nick was a good player, but I just don't remember. There's nothing.
How good of a player?
Yes, nothing is coming to mind. So I'll have to take a pass on this one because I don't.
All right,
know
fair
where to
enough.
put him.
I got Nick as when he was good, he was like an all-star, but overall, I have him as an exceptional talent.
Yeah. I
He was really good when he was on the Lakers, though.
It's tough because he kind of brought back when they got Shaq, right? First. They drafted Nick in 93, right? And Nick was just like Showtime, man. I mean, he
Nick
brought a
was
little
Showtime.
bit of Showtime back to the Lakers because I think that's when 93, think about it, right? I think when did Magic return? Was it 92? And he only spent about a year or two back in the league.
He spent a year. I
Right,
think,
a year, right? So it would have been 92. He came back, did some stuff on the court, wasn't really moving the scale, right? But
Yeah.
Nick comes in and absolutely starts running some Showtime offense for the Lakers. Now, I wouldn't call him necessarily, definitely not a superstar, but there were
No.
hints that he could become a star in the league because of his link
Yeah.
up with Shaq,
He was
Eddie
and
Jones.
he was flashy. He was flashy.
That team was playing Showtime ball. So for me, I honestly look at it right now. I put him as an he did
Whoa.
make the All-Star team. He played with the Lakers for a handful of years. I would say half his career almost, and played at a high level. Ooh, I would say that's a tough one, man. Yeah, exceptional talent is not bad, man. It's not bad,
I'm
but
telling you.
it's not bad. I have a hard time saying. I tried saying All-Star there, and then I realized, ooh, that's
He
a
had
little-
some moments when he was like,
yeah, he had a lot of
okay.
moments, where he was playing at a good level. Because I mean, he stayed in the league for 13 seasons, right? Made playoffs like 7 or so. Just more than half his career, he was in the playoffs, and I think for about maybe just over half his career, he was also playing at a high enough level, but kind of disappeared after that. In a way, only made the All-Star team like once. So, no, I think Vaughn was asking. Well, we'll do one more for the sake of it, but Vaughn was asking about
Yeah.
Smush Parker. I would say G League.
Oh,
Yeah, I would say
wow.
G League. Honestly speaking,
I'm just trying to remember how long Smush was in the league.
yeah, Smush. I'm not sure very long at all, to be honest.
Yeah, he would be, if we were doing like borderline stuff, then he would be bordering NBA player and G League. But if he didn't, it all depends on how long he was there. If he stuck around, then I'll give him an NBA player. But if he didn't, then G League.
The thing is, Smush wasn't bad. It's just that he was bad because he couldn't play with Kobe. G League.
Here's the thing, G League, because he was in the league for like 5 years max, tops. So he had other opportunities. In those 5 years, I think Smush was on 6 teams. So,
Yeah.
I think teams got a bit to see with Smush and
What he had
really,
to offer.
Yeah, we saw what he had to offer. And some people would say, I
But
know
5
there's
years. Don't
some
forget,
fans out
5
there-
years is the average. 5 years is the average.
Well,
that-
true. So for me, I would say G League, definitely.
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, because I think that's still don't get me wrong, right? A lot of people will say G League on this scale is everything here except for doesn't know basketball is pretty much a very high level. So keep
because
that in mind.
we can't fall in the G League.
Right.
We
Yeah.
can't even fall.
Yeah, no.
Shouldn't even be in the league.
Right. So this is a tough scale. It's still a very high level of basketball to keep in mind. Well, I mean, that was thanks for giving us those ratings, man. Definitely.
Appreciate
I
it.
know we're way over schedule here,
A little
but
bit.
but
Just a little bit.
When you're having fun, we know the time flows, right? So
It's true.
definitely looking forward to having you on the show to drink something you don't like for that bet that you made, that you ran into. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure.
we have it on tape. We have it on tape.
You got it on tape. You got it on
No
tape.
problem.
Right. Looking forward to definitely, probably linking up again in the future, whether it's on your podcast, Talk Some Football, or, Let's Go Bears, or, on other topics here,
You
joining
just
us
said, let's
again
go
for some debate.
Bears.
Yeah, Chicago, man. Come on, man. I'm in Chicago, man. What do you expect? I know we got some terrible.
You
Yeah,
can't be serious,
the
dog.
coach is gone.
That was
I believe-
expected.
Yeah, I believe the GM is also under fire as well. So I'm expecting some good things. At least
Okay,
it's not
alright.
just the quarterback being changed, right? Which is Chicago
Which is good.
known for.
Yeah.
We've had years where all we needed was a decent quarterback, and they
Hey!
passed up on some-
Jay Cutler is good.
Jay Cutler.
No
Jay Cutler.
comment.
Yeah, you don't say anything after it.
No
Jay
comment.
Cutler was passable, but he was not good enough for what they needed.
Not good
Yeah, I
enough
just-
at all. I'm
Jay-
sorry. I'm sorry, not nearly good enough for what we needed
Listen,
there.
I like Jay, but I would never want him on my team.
That sums up a lot.
Yes.
So no, definitely. We may have to talk some football on one of the episodes we can have in the future. And definitely, if you ever need someone to fill in or visit your show, let us know. You want to tell the audience when they can actually catch your show again?
Yeah, so we are on YouTube. Our shows live. We record it on Tuesdays, but then we stream it on Wednesdays. It is at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, which is where I am, which is 11 a.m. Eastern, 12 a.m. Well, 12 noon Atlantic. And like I said, it's on YouTube. It's also on Spotify, Amazon. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's pretty much everywhere. You just type in Green Beige, so the green like the color and beige like Bajan, Baje, and you'll find us there.
All right, man. Thanks
Dope.
for that, and definitely look forward to hearing more, especially now that we're in the playoffs, right? And
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's go big or go home. So looking forward to that. But definitely thanks for joining us on the cast, man. Just and talking up some basketball. It was fun, and as I said, looking forward to seeing you chug something. I think LeBron's gonna prove you wrong, man.
Well, if he does prove me wrong, then the Lakers will be better than they have been. So I won't be
Right.
sorry. But if he
True.
doesn't prove me wrong,
Hey,
then
let's have a point.
Right.
Oh yeah,
All right.
quick. Before we go, are we doing our games again?
Well, we might have to, with the time that we got. I figure we might have to put it out on the website. I think
Do that
maybe we
first.
can do that and
Yeah.
put that out there. So I think look out for that. We'll put the games out. We'll exchange some words, of course, as to who gets it
Yeah,
right
no, definitely.
and wrong. I think I'm gonna start another streak again. By the way, I'm just gonna put that out there. So I expect you to, chug something
Right.
that under the counter. But
Right.
as we said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, Ken. It's
Yes,
been a
Ken.
pleasure having you
Appreciate
on the
it.
show with me and Mike, and definitely, stay tuned. Tune into the Green Beige, at their times available for their shows, and look out for more podcasts. And Vaughn, thanks for tuning in and guessing right. You're the winner of our Spotify's premium account. I'm gonna hold off on the other prize. I was gonna give away actually a Game Pass 2 months free of Game Pass Ultimate. So
You
you can
just
play
give
some
me.
games.
That'd be
I
nice.
know, right? we gotta plug those in. Get some people in, and
Yeah.
definitely we got some special guests in addition. But tune into the website, and definitely pay attention for who's going to be on the show next. Thanks again. This is your Collective Bargaining Podcast.
Thanks, guys. Peace.